I will say if like drag is really what you make it. You can make it a local stable thing that just is supplementary income. You can make it a career that takes you all around the world. Or you can do what makes you happy and kind of do both. And I'm kind of in that third boat. I kind of consider drag to be my craft, my art form. It's my business. It's definitely something that I take very seriously. But I'm kind of seeing where the path takes me.
Hey, welcome to Too Hard, Too Fast podcast. In this episode, we figure out if I make a pretty drag queen. A pretty drag, pretty. Is pretty the right word, or is it hot?
It really depends on if you are what we in the business refer to as a clown fucker. If not, pretty works. But I have a feeling maybe not.
I don't know the term. Maybe we'll get into it and discuss that. I went pretty. I used the word pretty because I don't want to be like, do I make a hot one and be all conceited, right off the bat?
I mean, hey.
Hey, you got those cheekbones.
Which cheeks?
Well, in this episode, we have Adriana Trenta. I love that name, the Trenta for sure. And
thank you.
I also like your shirts where it has like the Trenta all over it.
Oh, thank you.
I'm a fan of that. I'm a fan of that. Helping me out with this episode, we got Victor returning as a guest co-host. Hi, Victor.
Hi, George.
Hi.
You would make a pretty lady.
Hey.
I'm getting campy vibes, though.
Hey, you can use terms that I'm not sure about because I'm just going to ask for definitions. But with that said, let's sit back, buckle up. Let's go too hard, too fast. Hey, ponte el cinturón, put the seatbelt
on. Welcome to Too Hard, Too Fast.
Welcome back
to Too Hard,
Too Fast.
Anything that rolls downhill, man.
I mean, old habits die hard, right?
It's the podcast by the people, for the people.
Well, I'm going too hard, too fast.
We are double fisted on that ass.
Only here, too hard, too fast. Let's do it.
Hey, you're listening to Too Hard, Too Fast, and it is the Trenta-sized episode with special guest me, Adriana Trenta.
So welcome everyone to Too Hard, Too Fast podcast.
That's right. Where we go off the rails and George has to worry about it. So here we go.
For the podcast of the century.
Cheers.
I don't know what a seatbelt is. I haven't ridden a car in 10 years.
Oh, that's right.
It's a Texas thing.
No.
What is it? Buckle up? No, what is it? Click it or
click
ticket?
It or ticket? Yeah.
Click it or ticket.
Click it or ticket.
Oh God, that was like 2000s. Oh God.
We're still in the mix with that here.
I felt my shoulder kind of pop in and out of socket. I'm getting old. Damn.
It's like muscle memory. It's muscle memory. It comes back.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Just it's
really it just comes
back. Adriana Trenta.
Yes.
I'm gonna ask this. I'm gonna come into this as very ignorant as possible.
Okay. Off to a great start.
As respectful as possible, but I have gone to maybe 2, pushing 3 drag shows in my life.
Okay. All right. What's the third that was pushing? Was it are you not sure if it was a drag show or
Yeah, I'm not well, I don't think it counts. I will count. I would say it was recently. I was actually at a musical event, and the person hosting was dressed in drag. They go by their TikTok famous. Their username is Jose Na Juan. It's like he makes funny videos, but he was dressed in drag. And again, I don't know how if to say he or she. So I'm not trying to use any disrespectful terms.
Yeah, but, they them.
Them. Oh, perfect. Yes.
Yeah.
Pronouns are new here.
Yeah.
So Victor, actually, I've known him since college. He's actually corrected a lot of my language that I used to use. And still, every now and then will correct me. But anyway, so that would be the third. My favorite one was I don't think I was with Victor. I was actually with your stalker. His name is Ferngers. I was with them. We went to the gay strip here in San Antonio. It was Pride, and I was there just hanging out. I was like, there, celebrating. And the drag queen that was hosting, I remembered I was having a lot of fun because it was like a lot of things going on, but it just seemed like the seas parted, like everybody just moved out of, and it's just me standing in the center, and they're like, "Hey," and calls me out. And it's like, "What are you doing here?" I'm just like, "I'm just hanging out with my friend, like supporting." Like, "What do you mean supporting? Are you not gay?" And I was like, "No." Like, "So what are you doing here?" It's like, I'm supporting my friends." Like, "Honey, we don't." It's just like it went in like just jokes, and it was funny, but I was just like sweating bullets because I was like, what am I just help?
Yeah, I will say one of the best parts of any show is when you find like the one or two straight people or the people that say that they're straight, and then it's like, I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, she called me out hardcore.
Oh yeah,
but it was fun.
Also, hardcore is just asking 3 questions.
What's that?
Hardcore for you is just asking 3 questions.
Yeah, I can't even think. I don't know how much drinks I was in, and I was like, I just don't want to get beat up or look offensive. Either one. I'm just here to hang out.
I'll say, who gets beat up in a gay bar? I don't know many people that have gotten beat up in a gay bar.
Have you been to a gay bar in Texas?
No, but I will be hopefully soon.
Where?
One of my friends runs, not runs. I'm not going to say something about the scene, but she works out of Austin, Texas. So I might be down in Austin soon. But like, still dates are being TBA. So like, by all means, like I'm not about to promote something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll be down in Texas soon. I'll be sweating my brows off.
Awesome. Yeah. Pack a lot of heavy powder. It gets out of here.
Yeah, and sunscreen as well. Yes.
Yeah. Is it a?
Uh-oh. You frozen.
You frozen.
Victor, you're frozen.
Let's freeze and pretend that when they come back. But yeah.
What if they don't? What if he doesn't come back?
That's our thumbnail.
Yeah. Also, it's thunderstorming here in Dallas.
Oh no! Oh God. Well, we're probably gonna get that thunderstorm in like 4 weeks then, when like because it's been raining here a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's ridiculous. But yeah, like it's I'll be hopefully in Texas relatively soon, probably by the end of the summer. But I know that's probably not the best time to go because that's when it's like 1,000,000 degrees.
Yeah.
But
well, if you get here between summer 1, it's not that bad. Summer 2 is where it gets really hot.
Summer 2?
Yeah.
What's that?
Because we go from like winter to like a week of spring, and then it's just summer 1 and summer 2, and then right back to winter.
But like your winter is like 70 degrees.
That's cold for us.
Yeah.
In New York City, like where I'm from, the winter will go like negatives, and like and I think today is like 60 degrees, and like people are walking around here in bike shorts, and like they're like, oh yeah, like it's ready for Pride.
Yeah.
Going on the drag queen shows, actually, the reason I had Victor on is because he knows a little bit more about the world of drag queens. We have talked about this before, where he actually participated for a good while doing that.
Oh,
she was a queen back in the day.
What was your name?
Hormiga culona.
I could definitely spell that. Yes.
Yeah, it's Spanish.
I had no idea.
It literally translates to big booty Ann.
Oh, work.
Back in the day when my knees were still good.
My knees aren't good, and I still do drag. It's okay. This is replaceable. Are you kidding me?
Hey.
So what actually got you started before? Because obviously, one of the biggest things that people ask about is how you got your name. But before we get to that, how did you decide that pursuing drag queen or pursuing drag was something you wanted to do? Or how early on even did that start?
So my answer is a little bit of a a twofold. So I did the Halloween thing where you get in drag for Halloween and someone gets you ready and you think that you're great until you look at the photos the next morning. And I was like, I'll never do it again. Like, just wanted to get it out of my system. And then that next summer was when Pulse happened, the tragedy in Orlando where the nightclub shooting happened. And at that time, I was working in nightlife as like a backup dancer for several drag queens and dancing for them in like pageants. And so I've been around it, and I've been to plenty of shows by that point. And there was a virgin show, meaning that someone that's like never done drag before, like there was a virgin show that was happening to raise money for I think there was like one of the charities that was happening was like not Red Cross, but it was like something along those lines. So I decided that I was going to throw my wig into the ring and just, raise some money. And 7 years later, here we are, or going on 7. But yeah, so that, and it's been a little bit of like a whirlwind since then. Because that was the moment where it kind of stuck. And then ever since then, like every week I was doing shows. I was selling shots at a bar in drag. I was dancing in pageants. I was helping make costumes for people. Like it like drag has kind of taken me to a bunch of different like pockets of the world, whether it be like pageantry, whether it be like clubs, whether it be fashion stuff. Like it's wild the places that a wig can take you.
Was there anybody like in your either family or friend group where they were kind of taken back by your decision to continue pursuing drag?
I will say a lot of my friends were like, "Oh yeah, we saw that coming," but I mean, I will say that like my family, it was a little bit of like a touch and go sort of situation, but I had to really explain that it was like it's not like it's not, drag to me is not my gender. Drag is just a profession. It's just a creative outlet to me. So I was still the same person. Like nothing changed about me. It's just, an art form. And it's just I think of drag personally as like your imagination personified, and sort of like if you were to take ideas out of your head and put it in the physical realm, oftentimes it would be in some sort of like exaggerated form. So drag is essentially that. It just happens to be the opposite gender for me.
Yeah. I think obviously I haven't been to a lot of them, but the ones that I've been, the reasons why I think I enjoy them is because I'm a real big fan of comedy. And I feel like the ones I've seen, all the drag queens have performed like some sort of comedy performance. I've seen some obviously where the singing or lip syncing kind of thing, it's fine. But when they get on the mic and really we work that mic with some jokes, I like that a lot.
It's being a drag queen is so much more than just like one thing. Like you said, like it's like you can like be lip syncing, but you also have to be able to talk on a microphone and captivate an audience. You have to be able to make light of basically anything that happens at any point, and it could be completely off script that like a joke happens that has nothing to do with what's going on. You have to be able to sew. You have to be able to do a lot of different things. And as like drag becomes a little bit more mainstream, the list of things that you have to be able to do gets greater and greater. Like during the pandemic, we all had to learn how to be a film editor. We all had to learn how to make podcasts. We all had to learn how to like, do our craft in a non-nightclub environment, because like while drag is like all encompassing and there's so many places where it can be, nightclubs was like a big place where it was like birthed out of, and where there was a lot of there was a home for it there.
Is this your full-time gig, or do you have a normal job?
No, are you kidding me? After the pandemic, no, I am not doing. I was a full-time drag queen for a very long time. I will say with the pandemic, I want to just have like money set aside. So I do have a day job. I work for Casper. At the mattress company. I literally sell mattresses every day, which is ironic because the foam in the mattresses is kind of what I use for my hip pads.
I was about to say, I was like,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what's funny was I got I've actually like sold mattresses in drag. And
hey, because these hips don't lie.
They don't. Well, they do lie, but I'm not lying about them. But,
just put your head here. Put your head.
Yeah,
right
yeah, it's right here. Yeah. So yeah, I've and they're cool with it. Like it and like my Slack photo on my corporate account is literally me in drag in Casper. Like here's the mattress.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will say that like doing drag full time is a very legitimate career these days. But it is something that requires a certain level of business acumen and a certain level of like discipline in order to do.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking because to me, what it looks like on your Instagram, it looks like you are full time. Because
Thank you.
Well, I mean, you got a great following too, but
thank you.
You know, your photos are always they look awesome.
Thank you.
Very well done. But like the way you list in your bio seems like you're doing something every day, and then your photos as well. It seems like you keep yourself busy. Like I would never think you have a normal life.
Yeah, my life is not that normal. I will say that like you see these bags. I don't sleep that often. No, I actually there's several times where like I am working a day job and like it's like a full like 40-hour week, and I have like a second set of like makeup at work, so that way I can just get ready and go to a gig that's at 7. So it's like there are days where it's like a double duty shift, but it's it's all about just like having your ducks in a row and just like I honestly, the reason why I have it on my bio is just that way I can remember what I'm doing. So that way I just go, oh yeah, that's right, it is Friday. I should get ready for this. But no, yeah, it's definitely it's an organizational thing. And like I'm glad that you think I'm a full-timer, because like that means that I'm legitimate. I have a career and all these other things.
She's a career woman.
A business fish. Yes, no.
Professional.
I came to work.
Yeah, and that's work with 2 Q's.
Oh God, not the Q. Oh God, we're not talking about that bar. Oh, no. Have you heard about that? It's like a nightclub that was like, anyway, it's a New York thing. Anyway,
I want to know.
It was a club that got like in several lawsuits and all these other things. It was like a very popular bar in the city for a year. And then
because it was named Work.
No, it was named the Q. It was
not the Q. But that's like the scene in New York, isn't it? I've been to a certain gay bars. I can't even remember the names, and they don't even exist anymore.
Yeah, I will say with the pandemic, there was a lot of turnover because a lot of places they stopped existing. We are going through a little bit of a phase right now where a lot of the places that had like one location are now opening like a sister location.
Oh, okay.
So they're having like new spaces, which is great. And we're seeing a lot more equity in nightlife as well. We're seeing a lot because during the pandemic, a big thing that happened was that there was a lot of not unearthed, because it was something that was kind of there that we were always kind of like either trying to combat or either just like make not as much of an issue. But there was definitely an issue with like across the country of racism and misogyny in nightlife. So there's a lot more equity now in nightlife, where there's almost like not positions are being created, but everyone is sort of getting more of a chunk of the pie, so to speak, which is great.
And it's funny because some gay bars are like that too. Like even here in Texas, we notice it a little bit. We definitely have like the Black gay bar, the Latino gay bar, and then we're like the other more like, I guess the white people gay bar would go. It's a little segregated here sometimes, which I think is hilarious because we're the community of inclusion.
Yeah, I mean, like that's something that like we especially New York, like the melting pot that we are, we really had to like take a look at ourselves and be like, this is not okay. And like we had to create a lot more like someone asked me like what was like the like how did I feel being like a more established person seeing like all these new people come in that like don't look like me and don't perform the same way that I do or don't do the same sort of type of drag that I do. And I said that it was like everyone still has like their plot of land. It just might change shape. Like it'll be the same surface area, but like it might just be like instead of a square, it might be like an extra long triangle. And it's like you just have to figure out what the dimensions of your area are.
Yeah.
Which is great because honestly, like it's kind of boring when it's just like the same sort of thing.
Yeah, cookie
just
cutter.
like, yeah. Like, have you heard of the Brooklyn nightlife scene? It's a lot of very experimental and sort of there's like an edge to like a lot of the performance, and it's very much different than the Manhattan drag scene, which is super cool.
I enjoy like the Brule Brothers type of stuff, you know, like
yeah.
like, you know, I dig that vibe. Like I prefer I prefer like a little more campy queen. And of course I love my dancing queens because, you know, we're from Texas and we got the Davenport dynasty over here. But you know, we're like I do enjoy the little edge to it.
You're just like, what's a Davenport?
Huh?
Well,
he's
I'm
like,
over
what's
here
a
just, I don't
Davenport?
know anything of what's going on. It's like Victor has taken over the podcast and I'm all good with it.
The Davenports are like the Kennedys of drag. Like everyone knows them, and like if you are part of it, then you are part of a long, not luxurious, but you're part of a long esteemed lineage that is wonderful. But there you have the O'Haras, you have the Davenports, you have the Duprees, you have the the Halls.
And how do you get in with these people? Like is it family or is it like a group that you get into?
I mean, the beautiful thing about drag is that a lot of it is chosen family. So it like that is actually where the concept of these like families came from. It was in like the 70s, 80s, 90s where people were being like thrown out of their house for being gay. So they would have like a mother figure that would take them all in, and they would form these houses. That was actually started really in like the ballroom scene as well.
Yeah.
But the concept of drag family has kind of been a similar concept where now, granted, I'm not that old, so I can't pull from the history books and be like, if you look at this graph.
Well, your Encyclopedia Britannica, please.
Yes. I'll pull that right between
the beauty
cheeks.
thing about this, and I'll say it all the time, this is too hard, too fast, and we don't check facts. So you give me your facts. We'll share them.
Yeah, you'll have the little chyron at the bottom being like, this may or may not be true.
Disclosure.
It's for the listeners to do the work and see if it was right or wrong.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was like really where like a lot of these like families came from. And that's something that kind of I'm glad that's been something that's kind of gone across the country as well. It's not something that's just like in specific areas. We see a lot of drag siblings, a lot of mother-daughter relationships happening where it's like a mentor that's really looking after someone, because at the end of the day, drag is an art form, and it's up to you to like make a connection with someone to really sort of, because like I don't have a drag mother per se, but I have someone that is an old, like I consider them to be like an older sibling where they're like, oh, they helped me when I was getting started in drag. They're someone that I'm really close with. They're someone that I consider basically like family at this point. They know me in and out of drag. And they're wonderful. Their name's Ritzy Bits. They're the person I'm going to see in Texas. But but yeah, so and like we don't look alike, we don't have the same name, we don't have the same performance style, but like it's about looking after each other and about sort of like when other people in the world won't, it's like having your anchor or your rock really to hold you accountable and keep you sort of grounded.
Yeah. I think that's just like a gay thing also.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like your gay family is like your family sometimes. I'm very fortunate that my family is very accepting of who I am, but definitely in my younger years before I was out fully, you know, my gay friends or my gay family became my actual, trust system.
Well, like even it doesn't even have to just be gay. Like anyone can have like someone that they really are close with that they consider family, but it's like there might not be blood relatives.
I try to tell Victor that, but he still won't accept me. Let's say somebody
I tolerate him.
Whether you like it or not, I'm here to stay. If somebody is thinking about becoming a drag queen or trying it out, because now I didn't think it would be that hard. To me, I was thinking, well, I mean, it would be hard to like put yourself together and all that. It's hard. I meant like to jump into that world. I was thinking, well, maybe there's a production place where you just go, hey, I want to try this out, and they put you on maybe like a trial thing. But now with the houses and all this, I didn't realize all that. So it sounds like a lot harder to get into.
We don't have to be in a house to be a drag queen.
Yeah, no. Like I don't have like a house that I belong to. I'm my own just individual, just kind of like going along.
The founder of the Trentas.
Honestly, like I think there's enough room in this world for one of me. I don't need a little rugrat running around. But
you don't want to be a mother?
No, these are not childbirthing hips. Okay. Like the Colby.
They're Casper hips.
Yeah, like I was going to say, like Sasha Colby has 1 million drag daughters and children, but like, yeah. But if someone wanted to get like started in the world of drag, first and foremost, the number one rule, regardless of if you are young, old, whatever you want to do, it does not matter what you look like, as long as you are like, you have to go out there and you have to have fun. The very first time you do it, you have to go out there, you have to have fun. And that's honestly the best piece of advice I've ever gotten. It really does, because for the first like 1.5 to 2 years to even 3 years to even 5 years of you being in drag, you will look back on the photos that you take and you will cringe, and you will improve in ways that you don't even think about. And it's like the more you do it, the better you get. And I remember that I've seen so many people that have done it like once or twice and were paralyzed by like just like the concept of like, it doesn't look perfect the first time I do it. I'm like, I can't do this. I'm never going to do it again. And ultimately it's an art form. It's an expression of you. You want to make sure that it looks great and you want to make sure that you feel great. But ultimately, like it really does not matter what you look like. It matters what you feel like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a charisma.
I like that. And I was sort of hoping that at the beginning when you said it doesn't matter what you look like, I thought you were gonna make a makeup joke. It's like it matters how the makeup makes you look. But I don't know, something like that. I was like, oh, it's going.
Yeah.
I gotta say, like, I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think just out of the like, just when you first start, everyone has the ladyboy first time in drag picture. Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah, you just look back at it and you're just like, you thought you were serving that night, like you were giving all woman. It was all women that night. Mm-hmm. And then you look back at it and you're like
Craigslist misconnections.
You're like, who is she? I don't know her.
Come on, back page. Anyway,
yeah, it was Yahoo Personals.
Oh, okay, work. Yeah. Good to know. Good to know. Wow. Yeah, that like it's we call that in the world of drag booger. Where it's like the concept of you like not looking the greatest. So it's just like, yeah, everyone goes to their face like that.
Yeah.
I'm still in that phase.
Did you say booger?
Booger, yes. Like the thing out of your nose.
Oh, okay.
Or nurse.
When you do start and you get in and you get put on, is there like levels that to as a comedian, like if you're a comedian, you don't start off, you will start off as a open micer and then move up to like a headliner. Is that sort of the same route?
Oh, fully. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if there's a wig or not. It's the same sort of principle as like any other nightlife or like entertainment position. Oftentimes you're doing the open mic, what we call open stages, but it's just open mic night basically, where you do a number. Oftentimes it's like a competition for $100, and it's like by like a crowd applause or something. There might be like a bar competition happening, that's like a long form thing that's like 8 weeks even. That's actually how I got like my foot in the door, was doing like an 8-week competition. And then there's also just like kind of doing what we call tip spots, where it's not like the most like lucrative thing in the world, but it's like basically performing almost for free, where you're mainly collecting tips from your performance. And that's how you network with the host, and that's how you sort of show that you're someone that shows up on time, doesn't complain, has a good performance ethic, the crowd likes. There's so many different things that go into like getting booked, that like, and honestly, like no one has it entirely figured out. Like there at the end of the day, you can literally be the best apple in the world and someone prefers oranges.
Yeah. Are you a one bar girl, or do you go to multiple bars?
As someone that has seen bars get shut down, I am someone who likes to have a variety of eggs in different baskets. I also I would get bored working in like one spot anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a brunch that I do in one neighborhood. I have a viewing party for Drag Race that I host in another neighborhood.
Yeah.
I have like my go-to sort of like high energy fun numbers that I do at like a different space. And then, it really just kind of like, you just spread yourself out a little bit over it. And then that way, like you're not really chained to one place. You don't see like the bottom of the sandbox, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When did the whole drag brunches start? Like, I know it just seemed like maybe they've been around for a long time, but it just seemed like recently in the years, like it's exploded. Like it's the thing to do now all of a sudden. Like, is that because it just started, or because, just social media made it the trendy thing to do?
Well, I will say that brunches have been going around since before I was in drag. They've been, all over any like sort of like major metropolitan area, just because like oftentimes restaurants just, need help making money, and they need, some programming, and drag shows are often very easy to just kind of plug in and go, because oftentimes the host just needs a microphone and a speaker that they can just plug their phone into. But high quality like brunches, I do notice that boom has happened. I like to sort of like attribute it partially to the pandemic, where there was a lot of time where like people weren't allowed to go inside bars unless there was food. So it was like a lot of brunches were like, okay, like we want entertainment, but like we're going to make this a brunch so that way we don't, get in trouble. And also brunches are very, very lucrative. There's been a high surgence with like Drag Race being like a new popular show. A lot of people that aren't just like your typical bar patrons have been coming to these things because they like what they see on TV, and they want to, have fun. And it's a great time. Brunch is always a wild time. It's always a very lucrative business. If you are a restaurant owner and a drag queen comes up to you, book them for their brunch and, have a fun time. But yeah, I will say that Drag Race really has brought that to the mainstream.
I've destroyed a few brunches in my time, but I've yet to go to yeah.
Oh, all right.
I've yet to go to like a drag brunch, and I keep telling somebody needs to take me. I keep saying,
well, you haven't lived until you've been to one. Yeah.
French toast just tastes different.
Yeah.
Get some eggs with a side of dick jokes.
Well, there's actually a couple spots where like the waiters are the drag queens. And like they'll serve your table, and then they'll be like, oh, hold on, I gotta go do a number. And then they go up and they do their number, and then they come back down. They're like, okay, so do you want extra fries on that? Or
that was no mayo on the burger.
No mayo on the bagel? Sorry.
Yeah. But I was gonna say, New York has that restaurant that has the singing waiters, does it? Where you
Ellen
like
Stardust.
Yeah. which is more
Failed
like
Broadway actors.
we're all starving artists.
Yeah. I know a thing or two about starving. Anyway.
I was like, I don't want to get too serious, but what do you think? You know how they're trying to change legislation for drag queen performers, and a lot of these like Southern drag queens, which is mostly it's kind of like the middle United States Southern part that's really being affected by this legislation. But that's where some Southern queens, that's their full-time gig, is being drag queens, and I think like the misconception is that I think people are scared sometimes of things that they don't know. And definitely our government sometimes leads with fear and the unknown. But, some people say that the gay agenda and the drag queens are, conditioning our kids, what do you think that's going to look like in the future? What do you think? What is your opinion on this? What do you think?
Damn, Victor went real serious real quick.
I know.
in question and answer. I think at the end of the day, I think that half of these bills are just going to be a class action lawsuit that is just going to ultimately, they're not going to be constitutional. They're not going to hold up.
Yeah, they're already trying to overturn them.
Yeah, they can say all they want. It's at the end of the day, these bills have very little to do with drag queens specifically, and they're all about targeting people that they deemed other. And the people that they deem other in this instance are large in part trans people. They're the bills, yes, there's like drag that's like, like it's a byproduct that's like people can like kind of categorize drag as this. But the bills that are the scarier bills are the ones that are a little bit more ambiguous, where it's kind of talking about just anyone that's wearing clothes that's deemed not identifying with their gender or their
assigned gender.
Their assigned gender. Thank you. And it's scary. But at the end of the day, it's also something that doesn't have a lot of legs to stand on, because a lot of the people that are making these policies are doing it to sort of establish control over other people's bodies and over other people's dominion. And we're seeing that a lot of the people that are saying this are people that are otherwise pretty inept politicians that were swindled by the Trump administration, and we're kind of seeing the sort of surge when Trump was first elected, that they're trying to tap into that sort of basis, thinking that would get them reelected. Because I think that it's very scary to be a Republican politician right now, because a lot of people are kind of realizing that their party is not the way to go. And I think that they're trying to grasp at straws to get them a couple more years in power where they can have more money. And ultimately, they're realizing that the tricks that used to work aren't working anymore.
Yeah. It's like more common to be like a religious zealot nowadays. Like that's the way to gain notoriety and help your political campaign, by spewing all this like hatred and like misinformation. And I think I don't want to say it's funny, because it's not a funny situation, but it's laughable that these lawmakers identify drag queens with trans people. Because that's a common misconception amongst people anyway, is that drag queens want to be women, or drag kings want to be men, which some are. There's trans performers, we can attest to that. But I think that that's their way of combating this trans right issue, but
since we're talking about genders and our assigned genders and drag queens that are transgender, is there, I guess, because I have trouble too with whenever, like, right now you're not dressed in drag, so I guess you will be, your real person, and then maybe he, him pronouns, and then when somebody is dressed in drag, do they usually go into she, her, or even then, is there any drag queens that are not gay and also or not transgender? They just like the art of it.
Yeah, there's plenty of cis men that do drag and also cis women that do drag. Um, Either drag queens, drag kings, what have you. There's several talented ones as well. I think that ultimately everyone's pronouns are their own personal information, and I think that in the world of drag queens, a lot of us just say she in and out of drag to like when we're colloquially talking with our coworkers and our peers, just being like, oh, she does this, da 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 da. Because we only know each other by our stage name, we don't know each other's real names often. Which is a very funny thing to think about because it's like someone's best friend, you could not know their last name.
Yeah.
But
we haven't even asked.
yeah.
We never even asked you for your real name, but I know you shared it on your Instagram once.
Yeah, my real name's Kevin. Hi, nice to meet you, everyone. But I think that ultimately,
Not Kevin.
there's no hi, Kevin.
Yeah.
There's no like set rule. The general rule of thumb is just to kind of be polite to someone. If you see a drag queen, chances are they are going by she or them in drag. If you do see someone who is out of drag or someone that is just a regular person walking down the street, oftentimes just call them them.
Yeah.
Or like nothing gender specific. And then if they use pronouns that or they're talking and they specify that their pronouns are this, then just respect those pronouns.
Yeah.
Ultimately, like no one's going to be offended if you accidentally say the wrong pronoun once or twice and then you're just like, oh, my apologies, and then you correct yourself. No one's going to be offended. It's when you are willfully ignorant, that's when it's a problem. And that is what we're seeing in our today's country and today's climate. Willful ignorance and sort of like this, like it's like this sort of like widening of the gap between the two political sort of extremes, not extremes, sides.
I think also though, what I've and I'm a little bit of an outsider looking in, like of course, like my friends are gay.
Who's gay?
No,
What?
Victor will be one of the first to tell you that. I feel like sometimes I'm overly cautious of how I talk or how I say, just because in the past I have been corrected in the words I've chosen or the way I grew up thinking. So sometimes I feel like I over apologize or I'll be overly cautious.
You are overcritical of yourself sometimes.
Yeah. Well, but also because I don't want to offend. Like I don't mind pissing somebody off or offending somebody for anything, but when it's something about gender, race or anything like that, I was like, I'm gonna respect who you are as a person. I might talk shit about how you look, but
but behind their back, because we're from the South, we have manners.
No. But I don't even know where I was going with that. But so I was just, I'll overly be cautious. I'll be cautious about it to where it's like, dude, just stop, just relax, and it's not gonna be anything. If you say something wrong, apologize or just correct it. But what I've seen is that, as an outsider looking in, I see other people are also very cautious about just not wanting to offend or so. Like we're open to it. We're very open-minded. And I think that's also why certain politics are not working anymore, because a lot more people are thinking for themselves now and saying, no, just because I'm a certain religion or I'm certain culture, I don't have to not accept what the majority tells us not to accept. And I think that's slowly growing, at least from my end. I know there's still a long way to go, but that's something I do think about nowadays, and especially, and it sounds so dumb, and I always say my two best friends are gay.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean, it like ultimately, like we're people. No one wants to have their feelings hurt, and nobody wants to hurt each other's feelings. And I think that, like, as long as you come from a place of love and understanding, like if it's never going to be the end of the world if someone says that, these are my preferred pronouns, please use them, and then you go, okay, cool. It's I think that, like, yes, like being aware of what you're saying is important, but also giving yourself enough grace to realize that it's coming from a place of respect and love, that the way that you're talking to someone. So it's like, give yourself a little bit of grace as well.
Yeah. I think people nowadays believe that drag is like a brand new thing. Like that it just popped up, especially with Drag Race. RuPaul has definitely popularized drag race or drag queens for everybody, and drag kings or drag culture, but it's been around forever. I think the other day there was a video, sometimes you just have reels. It's these two lesbians that always talk about gay queer history facts.
Oh, wait, I think I've heard of these people. I think
Yeah,
I
it's
think
like two lesbians, and she was talking about the history of drag and how it actually started like back in I don't know what century, because the working class wanted to enjoy, like they wanted to enjoy the theater, but you couldn't drink in the theater. It was like the rule of thumb, like it was high society to go to the theater. So these working class people would hire or have performers, women and men, that would dress in either or gender, and they would perform for the people in the crowd. So that's like the origins of drag. And then of course all the Shakespearean plays that were always performed.
I was gonna say like that, or like kabuki theater, where it's like
That's even older than
and granted, that also has a little bit of misogyny tied to it, because it was men were only
women were inferior type of stuff. Yeah. But
I also just like saying the word thespians too. It sounds
thespian.
Yeah, it sounds bad. It sounds like naughty, but
it sounds like it sounds like someone with a lisp saying lesbian.
That's just my Chicano accent. I don't have a lisp.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of make sure I was saying it correctly when I said it, because I was like, my accent's gonna come out as soon as I try to say it.
George, your accent comes out regardless of what word you're saying.
Yeah. We said that we were going to talk about how you came up with your name. Before we move on to some more important conversations, Adriana Trenta, again, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of the Trenta size from Starbucks. Not a huge Starbucks fan, but I'm a fan of the Trenta size. So how did that play into the name?
So I like to say that my name comes from my favorite musical artist of all time, Lizzo. No, in reality, I am a big Ariana Grande fan, and I wanted to have a name that was evocative of her, but have a little bit of a spin on it because I didn't want to get sued. And I am I'm like triple her height. So I was like, oh yeah, Trenta, that's the biggest cup. I'll do that. Yeah, that was just, that's where it came from. Nothing crazy.
Because it could have been Adriana Big Gulp.
it could have been Adriana Large. It could have been
Adriana Route 44.
I will say that I was someone that so I got the name like right before Ariana Grande like really like took off and like had like her bigger hits, and a lot of people after that had like the Ariana Venti, the Areola Grande, the like all these different names that were like, but no one had a Trenta, and I was like, okay, I picked the right name.
Oh, I was just thinking Trenta. I didn't think about 3 sizes bigger. I was just thinking because she drinks a lot of Starbucks.
No, I'm just tall. I'm just big and wide.
Well, that was my nickname in college.
Yeah. That's what my dad used to call me. Anyway.
Yeah.
The Adriana Trenta, has there been any kind of backlash to the name or anything? Maybe backlash is too much of a strong word. Just kind of maybe just like, or any reason to ever change it, or thoughts like, oh, maybe this wasn't a good name to pick after all, things like that.
I mean, I have thought about that because in various cultures and in various dialects and accents, Adriana is not necessarily the pronunciation. It's often Adriana, or sometimes people will misspell it, or they'll write Ariana instead, just because they get the joke and they put Ariana in it. And I'll never forget, it was the year that I won Miss America. Carson Kressley was hosting it, and he kept pronouncing my name wrong. And I was like, maybe I should have thought this through a little bit. So that's where a lot of my Trenta brand comes from, because Trenta is a lot easier to say and remember. So I'm just like, just call me Trenta. It's easy. It's, it's if I sense that I'm in a room that doesn't really know me, I'm just like, Trenta is fine. Yeah. And yeah, it works.
Now that you're bringing up merch, do you find that okay? Because I'm gonna say it.
Okay,
don't get mad at me.
Say it.
So with the popularization of drag queens and RuPaul's Drag Race, a lot of the girls that are on the show work at the bars, right? And a lot of times they're given preferred times or preferred status, because they're paying for it. But have you found it that a need for to sell merch, or is it did you feel obligated to sell merch for yourself, or did you just want to kind of discover a new avenue of income and you were like, you know what, Trenta, I can come up with some good things, and
Well, it was a little bit of both. There is a nice little bit of income that comes from that, but realistically, when you're a local artist, you're oftentimes selling to your friends. So it's like, oh, have my shirt when I'm competing or something like that. I will say that I approach merch differently than a lot of queens in the city who just kind of put their name and logo on a shirt. I like to think of it almost as like apparel. And I'm actually designing something and sort of having a sort of cooler brand, as opposed to just here's merch. I don't think of it as merch. I think of it as another sort of business opportunity, another sort of avenue to go through. And when I designed my Trenta line, it was sort of I had this really cool jacket that had this print that I got a lot of positive attention for. And I thought, well, I can't give you the jacket, but I can give you the cool print that says Trenta all over it. Yeah. And that's the brand. And now
we also do prints.
Oh yeah. Yes, I like it. Yes.
It's not about you, Victor.
It's always about me.
Plug it.
Yeah.
You did that shit for real?
Yeah, I made this.
Dude, that's badass.
Work.
I am an artist.
Oh.
Yeah, that's pretty badass. I would buy one. But I'm going to buy a Trenta shirt first.
Yeah. I'll be honest, I haven't seen the merch.
Well, it's on my website.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Have you felt the need to verse yourself more in business type language or business type situations now that post COVID? You said you had to be in COVID, becoming a film editor, becoming an editor, becoming kind of a one-man stop shop. So has this led you to kind of want to become more versed in business and maybe learn a little bit more about marketing yourself? Or that's kind of thinking, are you being more social media side, or getting your name more nationwide, or versus trying to book something? Is the goal to make Adriana Trenta,
too many questions all at once,
your full
too hard too fast.
So to answer your question, the first of several questions, I actually have a business degree. I actually went to school for business.
She sells mattresses.
Yes. No, I actually went for business management at Pace University. So I have a little bit of a business degree and a little bit of a business acumen and sort of knowledge of that.
No know-how.
A little know-how, which honestly is better to know than knowing how to sing or dance, because you can learn those skills, but it's a little bit harder to sort of make the business mistakes and learn from those. But granted, even then, nobody knows the world of drag until they're really in it, until they're really doing it. And And I'm sorry, the next slew of questions, let's go down them.
I just rattled off things like Spitfire. It was Nancy Grace, Line of Fire. Like it was just.
Where is the body?
Where is she? I do have a wig. No, just yeah.
No, but so yeah.
Welcome to Nancy Grace.
Like the other thought, my thought was, putting yourself out there more nationwide, social media aside, kind of worldwide, as big as you can grow here as a following versus trying to book locally.
Well, I will say that one thing that a big piece of advice that I've always heard was that if you feel unappreciated in a local setting, go travel. There's a lot of people that would love to have you on their stage and might just not be right next to you. So I've done traveling. I've performed all up and down the East Coast at this point. Going to be going hopefully to Ohio and Texas and Florida and New Orleans soon, but that's something that I have to sort of sign the contracts. But I will say, if drag is really what you make it. You can make it a local, stable thing that just is supplementary income. You can make it a career that takes you all around the world. Or you can do what makes you happy and kind of do both. And I'm kind of in that third boat. I kind of consider drag to be my craft, my art form. It's my business. It's definitely something that I take very seriously. But I'm kind of seeing where the path takes me, because ultimately before the pandemic, I was seeing myself really do the full time, burning the candle at both edges and kind of just running ragged. And I'm reaching a certain age where I want to keep myself healthy. I want to keep myself stable. I want to keep myself supported. And sometimes the road is lonely. So it's you just kind of, you want to have your anchor to the real world when you're doing this, most importantly.
Yeah.
Is there an expiration date, do you think? All of us, we all get old and we all eventually have to figure out, but
the world's oldest drag queen actually died very recently, and she was, I think, 98, 96, something like that. But drag, you'll have to change the way you do drag, and you have to change the way you perform, and you have to sort of adapt to the times. But you can do drag until you die. Yeah. Queen Elizabeth was doing drag until she died. She had a whole scepter, crown, fabulous outfit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
would you ever consider doing the drag race scene, going on the show, or have you ever applied for it?
Legally, I am not allowed to answer these questions.
Oh.
No, I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding. No. Okay, we're not. We're no.
You are too fast.
So I have auditioned for Drag Race several times. I will say that Drag Race is a television show.
Yeah,
it can definitely open up your pathways if you want to pursue drag full time and have that be a career for you. I have seen both sides of the coin, where I've seen people really succeed on the show and I've seen people really stumble on the show. And I've seen what it does on a personal level, on a financial level, on a business level, and on this sort of persona of TV.
Yeah, because then it's distinguishing the person versus the persona type situation.
Yeah. I've seen the way that kind of how it kind of messes you up for a little bit, and I keep going back and forth. I definitely am open to it. I did not audition for this past season. I have actually auditioned for the past 2 seasons at this point. But it's also just from a place of just financial stability, because I don't know if you're aware of how intense the audition process is, but
yeah, a little bit.
Now the audition process is an intense thing where you have to submit this entire dossier of everything that you own and everything that you do and everything. To get on the show, you have to have this package of 30 plus looks that are all custom made, and the show sometimes helps with it, but it's you have to be ready to throw down tens of thousands of dollars out of
it's nowhere. A financial strain for some of the girls. I think one of the girls this season was she threw down $50,000.
That's not even
on a dress, some just a costume.
It was $100,000, and it was Mrs. Isabel Brooks. Yeah, threw down $100,000.
Also, San Antonio native. Hey, girl. Hey.
Hey. And she lost.
I know, but she came in top 4, so she's not,
Yes, and the good thing about that is that you can kind of see a little bit of a return on investment. Because at the end of the day, like, yes, the Drag Race prize is now $200,000, but for a very long time it was $100,000.
Yeah, and before that it was like 10,000 or like 50.
Yeah, yes, and the joke was like, everyone makes that money theoretically if you're able to. You could make the prize money if you were smart with your bookings and if you were smart with like how you do it. Things have changed a little bit now because like there's now like you join management teams, you take certain gigs, you have to charge a certain rate, and like the bookings might not necessarily be there anymore because the way that the show has sort of evolved and the way that the fandom has sort of evolved, they're a little bit more interested now in TV characters and in people that win the show and not necessarily just being on the show as like your big claim to fame.
Like we've seen here in Dallas, I live in Dallas, and here in Dallas, we've been fortunate, or at least some of my friends have worked with some of the drag queens before. And so we've seen kind of the difference in how the celebrity or the popularity affects people, and but we also see like a little bit of the process here, because Dallas is like, I always say that every gay scene in the world is the smallest gay scene, because everybody somehow is 6 degrees from Kevin Bacon. Like,
I've never seen RuPaul. I've never, but but I think because to me, when I found out about a RuPaul, it almost seemed like it was too overly done already. Like it was like there was already several seasons in. But what I do like about what I've seen from RuPaul is that people that I would never think that would be open-minded to the world of drag are fans of the show. So I think that's what is a good thing that's helping out, like you said earlier, spread the word or bring in more people to seeing it. Or
it's
to
our sports.
There's what?
It's our sports. Like,
it's our sports.
Oh yeah.
The grand finale is like our Super Bowl. Like,
oh yeah.
We're like, bro. Yeah, we're in it.
Well, the way some people talk, and then they're not, like I said, they're either not gay or there could be straight men, or women. Well, I think women are, they're fans of the drama, obviously. But I shouldn't say that at all. That sounds ugly. But I'm saying
most cisgendered women are, for lack of a better word, woo girls. Like, they'll woo, yes, like queen it up with all the queens. Yeah. But I think men are just attracted to the competition side of it.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, it's also just a good show. Like, if I would say, if you've never seen an episode of Drag Race, go on a night where there's a viewing party. It's always on Fridays. It's always at one of the bars. Go where there's a viewing party. That way you can see the electric energy around it. And it's always like there's always like a place to start with Drag Race. You never have to worry about the seasons overlapping or sort of like knowing what happened last season. Because at the end of the day, like, none of us are reinventing the wheel. It's always the same people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do want to get back a little bit more on the important conversations that need to be had, or that I feel should be had. One of the things I was recently thinking about, and I think it was even before asking you to come on, it's just something that I've talked about with friends before, where it has been the whole conversation of bringing children to a drag show. Kind of thing, and I really been thinking about how I'm gonna not pose this question, but how I'm gonna respond to my own beliefs on this question. But my thing would be, I don't see too much. Well, I'm on a 50-50, and I'll tell you why. It's almost a thing where I wouldn't take my son to a burlesque show or something where just because there's too much revealing and he's still too young for that. Also, you know, some like there was this like the show that I went to for the musical, the host in drag looked very well, you know, nothing was revealing, anything like that. Major dick jokes, hardcore, a lot of cussing. I loved it. I was an adult, but I know, I was gonna take my son to it, but I would have thought, I was like, oh, he's too young to hear these jokes. That's the only thing. If it's just singing, dancing, great time, I don't think I have an issue with that. You know, it's like he watches wrestling and the women are way more revealing on there, and he's all about that. So, so it's like he's like, hey, sometimes you have to look away, man. But yeah, that's where I feel like I'm on a 50-50, depending on the jokes and the revealing and what they're doing. You know, what is the show about?
Yeah, it's ultimately you just have to do your research. You just like if it's your child, you have to do your research. If you are a parent, your responsibility is to do your research and to look after your child. And at the end of the day, if it like, because a lot of the times like the costumes and the dancing are stuff that like Beyonce and Lizzo would do, but if like the humor is something that's like a little too rated R for them, then don't bring them to there. It's like letting them go see an R-rated movie.
Exactly. It's like that. It's like, I'm not gonna let them see that movie. That's, you know, I don't.
Yeah.
If I turn the channel on something that I feel like he's not supposed to be exposed to yet.
Yeah, it's like taking someone to see American Pie when they're 6.
Yeah.
No one was calling for that movie to be taken off the cinemas.
Yeah, that's true. So it's kind of like that. That's how I feel. I feel like there wasn't really much of a question there. It was more like a statement. But I just wanted to see your take on it. I don't know what Victor's take is on that, but I feel like
ban all drag queens.
We're on the same.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I don't know. Well, why did I even bring it up then?
Well, it's important. It's important to talk about.
So
it's important to give a perspective, George. It's important to give a perspective or a point of view.
Okay.
Yes, as a cis man, it's important to give your vantage point. Because that's what we care about.
As a cis white man, this is my opinion.
Yes.
Just by the way, and I know Victor has explained this to me a whole bunch of times. I have no idea what cis means.
Comfortable in skin.
Yeah.
Comfortable.
You identify as the assigned gender that you identify as whatever you were assigned at birth.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna go along with it without asking, but I felt like I need to ask again.
There's a lot of terms. Look, I'm in the community, and there are terms that I'm still learning. So the LGBT.
Oh, that's a derogatory phrase.
Should I bleep that out?
No, it's fine. You're fine.
Bleep it out so it sounds like I said something. Like I said that. Well, you know the funny part is that like I use the term queer. Like I identify as queer.
Yeah.
And a lot of people here in Texas are kind of like like, are you allowed to say that word? And I'm like, yes, queer.
Yeah.
But a lot of people.
Yeah, it's a new. The phrase is it's not queers and gays, queers and fuck you or something like that.
Yeah,
like something like that.
There's only two things from Texas: steers and queers.
He'll make me say it in public, and I'm like, no, I cannot. I cannot.
Okay.
We're a little different here in the South.
Clearly.
You'll learn when you get here in Austin.
Yeah.
I mean, hey.
Let us know when you come to, if it pulls through, let us know. Yeah. I'm setting out good vibes, manifesting. But yeah, Austin is a car ride over. We can travel. George is closer.
Yeah,
Alrighty.
we'll definitely go. This guy likes to travel, and I like hanging out. So
Yeah.
Let's go.
We'll do a live
And we
episode.
both like drinking.
Oh, that would be
Oh.
badass. We can definitely do
Alright.
that.
Alrighty.
Let's do it. There, it's set in stone right here.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Or in virtual world.
Yeah,
Alright,
we have.
all right. Before we get to the Too Hard Too Fast story, where can people follow you and get the merch?
So you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Craigslist, OnlyFans, Facebook, all the fun apps, Sniffies, Seamless, all at It's Trenta Bitch, because Adriana Trenta was taken on some platforms. So it's Trenta Bitch, like it's Brittany Bitch, but with my last name, because I'm so clever. You can get my merch at my website, adrianatrenta.com. You can also find it, I think, on like Shopify. There's like I have a link tree on my Instagram. You can find everything there. But yeah, I'll hopefully be coming to a city near you. Follow me on Instagram because I need more than 4,000 followers to get on Drag Race, and that is not necessarily a lie. Please follow me.
I'm
Well,
gonna tell all my friends, all 4 of them.
Oh yeah, can't wait.
Yes.
One of them will unfollow me, but anyway.
For the slew of followers.
I don't want to make people uncomfortable, but definitely want to change some perspectives or broaden a little perspectives on that. And so that's why I
Absolutely.
wanted to have this conversation with you.
Absolutely. And thank
As
you for having
someone who
me.
has known George for almost 20 years now.
Who?
How?
Oh, wow.
Like 2006, 2006,
Since
2007?
2006, yeah.
Yeah, it's almost 20
Oh
years.
my God. Oh my
I know.
God.
I know. George has definitely grown a lot.
Yeah.
Hey,
I mean-
that's another way of calling me fat. I get it. I'm watching you, man.
He has grown a lot.
I mean, ultimately, it's like, thank you for having me. It's like, this is where the real change happens. This is where people see, like, I decided not to be on this in drag because I wanted to see that, like, or want people to see that, like, we're humans. We're not just the makeup that we put on our face, and we're not these like monsters in the closet. We're real people.
Yeah. Or sometimes the monsters under the bed.
I mean, to be fair, my mattress is very close to the floor, so I don't have a lot of space under there for bed monsters. But you know, it's whatever. But yeah, thank you for having me.
No, man. Thank you for being on, and I appreciate you. I would love to have you back on whenever you want to.
I'll put you in drag for the next episode.
I'm down. Well, if we do it live, I'm definitely down.
Oh, that'd be fun. That'd be fun.
Let's do it.
What would your drag name be?
Dang, see, I didn't want to bring that up because I was like, I feel like I've had 3 good ones and I never remember them. But
Well, then you'll have to come up with it in time for when you launch this episode.
yes, I will.
And I'll christen you. I'll break a bottle over your head.
Well, I'll think of one. Let's make it happen. I want to for sure do one in person. That would be awesome, and that would be super fun.
Alrighty.
And I'll think of one for that.
I'll start cutting paddings.
Bring the Casper. I'll bring the wig.
Yeah. I have a butt pad already and a corset.
Alrighty.
We're halfway there.
Alrighty.
All right. The final question: what is your too hard, too fast story? A time where you either a drunk funny story, just a funny story, a cautionary tale, or words of wisdom?
Cautionary tale and words of wisdom. I'm great at that. I will say never bring a expensive handbag into a bar. But not for the reason that you think. I once was at a sexier party, shall we say, where a woman came in, not realizing where she was. She asked us for directions on where to go. And she said, "Oh, let me tip you for the advice." And then she reached into her bag and she went, "Wait, why is the bag wet?"
Ooh.
And she looked down, and there was just some bodily fluid that we don't have to say what it was. But yeah, never bring the expensive handbag to a bar.
Fair enough. That's a good cautionary tale and words of wisdom to live by.
Mm-hmm.
In any bar.
Don't
It
bring
doesn't
bags
have to
to
be what
bars.
kind of bar. Any bar.
Yeah, yeah.
Check your pockets too. You never know.
Oh yes.
If I had a nickel.
Then you wouldn't have it because it got pickpocketed out of you.
Yeah.
With that said, we've gone too hard, too fast with Adriana Trenta. I hope to have you back on very soon. See you in Austin. I'm gonna put the good vibes out there.
Thank you.
And remember, dare to be you, dare to be weird. I don't think we answered the question if I make a pretty or a hot drag queen, but we'll find out hopefully.
Part 2.
Yeah.
Part 2.
We chose not to.
What?
We chose not to answer it.
Out of respect.
No, I said
We didn't want to hurt his feelings.
a very pretty lady because you have nice cheeks.
Hey,
And I
we
said which ones?
hey, these Casper ones.
Oh, yeah.
Bye. Oh,
How do you feel?
it was good. I think I could have been better.
Yeah.
I think
You were definitely a little laggy.
really.
Yeah.
Dang.
You're gonna
Honestly, I felt like I was a little bit better than what I. Well,
You
what I
did
thought.
way better. I thought you were gonna struggle a little because you were saying that you were feeling kind of
Well, I think I feed off I feed off the energy. So he came with a lot of good energy. You
Yeah.
always have good energy, so I feed off of that. But my
Meaning
questioning could have been better. What is that?
apples.
Oh, I thought they were gummies.
No, but it went well. You just paused a lot,
Yeah,
trying to collect your thought.
yeah. I'm noticing that I do that. I do it a lot less in the live ones. Like I've gotten a lot, or like those 2 that I've done.
Yeah.
a
I think
lot
also you were being very critical of yourself. I think you were very cautious about what you were saying.
Yeah.
I saw
hate
your
it. I know. I try.
I saw
not
your
to,
wheels turning a little bit. Like I could feel you. Like, am I gonna say something inappropriate?
I try not to, but I mean,
Yeah.
but
Give
I
yourself
never
some
know,
credit.
you
You're
know,
doing
like-
great.
because I'm thinking like I'm gonna put this out, and maybe he's not gonna offended, but
Yeah.
who else is gonna be? And I'm not trying to offend anybody.
And I was gonna tell you, I was like, trust me, as a drag queen, you're not gonna offend nobody. No one can take a joke more than a drag queen.
Fair enough. I think if you would have told me that at the beginning, I would have been a little more comfortable.
Yeah, I know, and I was going to tell you that because I was like, I know that sometimes you're a little scared about saying something inappropriate or offensive about something. So I know, but you did great. I mean, you didn't say nothing inappropriate.
Halfway at the beginning, well, not halfway at the beginning, but like somewhere in the beginning, I noticed the rainbow behind me, and I'm like, "Fuck!" Does that feel like I'm fucking playing into? I was like, "No!" Like I always feel like the need to have to explain it. It's like,
Yeah.
no, it's not.
Well, I
it's
mean,
not-
but everybody knows who watches it like that. You know, that's
Yeah.
been there.
Anyway, but I was thinking of that. I was like, "Fuck."
Also, my lighting was really good today.
It is. I need to get better lighting here. That's really a shirt. Like, did you buy that shirt and then just put the design on it, or?
I bought this shirt,
Uh-huh.
and then I made this whole design.
Dude, that's badass.
It was actually for a rave.
What is that?
A rave?
Oh, a rave.
Yeah, because they had black lighting,
Mm,
and so it was supposed to like glow in the dark.
dang. I would wear that to work.
I do. Actually, I can only wear this on Fridays.
Why?
Because I was supposed to be a professional dress.
I feel like I can get away with it, with wearing it, like even like on a Monday when.
Yeah, which I was so. I know. I'm like, I'm fixing that. But yeah, I mean, hopefully she tells us when she comes.
Oh shit! I'm still recording.